Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today I'm coming back to you guys with another Switch video, and this time we have to thank Unikeys. Now, they sent me out a huge load of Switches, as you guys would have seen, and if you guys want to catch me doing the Switch tests or reviews live, I have a live stream that goes on every Friday, and it's at 5 p.m. PST, so you can come by, ask questions, or even ask me to try Switches in other boards, so come by on those times, and I'd love to talk to you guys live. Today, we're going to be checking out the HMX T-Rex. I'm really curious of these ones because I actually really like HMX Clack, and I think these ones are going to be kind of fun to try out. So let's go straight into doing the sound test and see what this is like, but please make sure to like and subscribe. Introducing to you the HMX T-Rex, and as you can see, the price on these switches is incredibly budget. 2 USD per 10 switches. That's an incredible price, but of course we're going to have to hear a sound test because I'm curious how clacky these will be. Now, just hearing the switch alone, it sounds a lot clackier. But overall, it was quite interesting to kind of see it in different types of keyboards. So in Foamless boards, it came off a little bit more clackier, but then depending on the plate you use, it actually became a little bit more medium. Very interesting how that is. With the Neo 60CU, I found it a lot more clackier, but then with the Core Plus, it was a clack, but then lube became a little bit closer to medium, but not a poppy switch at all, not even with the foamed boards. Very interesting to hear and see how the switch is, but we'll see a little bit more as we go into this. Now, going with the stem first. So looking at the stem itself, we're going to really see what the stock lubing is like. Now, the interesting thing about HMX is that they don't really lube their switches heavily. So you're not looking at getting a switch that is very well lubed, but it's still very smooth. So that's the nice thing about HMX. You don't actually have to hand lube them at all. And as you'll notice, there is more lube on the actual portion on the stem where it's hitting the leaf, but there's less lube around the sides of the stem, and you actually don't have to hand lube them at all. But if you do, the T-Rexes kind of have a slightly different sound profile, but make sure you just do a light lube to it. Now the top housing, it's a PC top housing, and it's just your regular top housing. Honestly, I'm going to say that it doesn't feel like it's a crazy nice feeling top housing. It just feels a little bit, I'm going to be honest, a little bit weak, a little bit flimsy in terms of the actual housing. Bottom housing, on the other hand, it's well done. You'll see here with the leaf that there is actually a decent amount of lube there, and I believe that's how they get their switches to be a little bit more smooth when you are using them. It's kind of similar to KeyGeek. Now, the spring itself is going to be a 22mm single stage spring. So it actually has a very nice feel to it in terms of how it is. So if you have a longer single stage spring, when you are pressing it down at the top side, it's going to be a little bit lighter, but then as you go down, you will actually feel the pressure a little bit more in terms of the weight of the spring. And these switches definitely do that. Now this is going to be a long pole stem, so you are going to be having less travel with the stem itself and overall the travel of the switch. I think these switches feel quite fine. When you do press them though, compared to say like a Cherry that has full travel, it will feel a bit shorter. Now just to measure the travel distance. So we start at 17.9, if we press it down it goes to 14.4. So you're looking at 3.5mm of travel. That is going to be a decent amount. I feel like anything less than that for myself is not great. I feel that it's too short. But 3.5, I think I'm starting to get used to it quite a bit, but you can definitely feel it compared to a full travel switch. Now in terms of the decibel test, this way you can actually tell and see how loud a switch is going to be, even though the sound test might be kind of loud. These switches, I would say, average around 67 decibels, which is going to be quite loud. I would say the best way to measure it is if you say 60 decibel is a regular conversation that's going around you, these ones are going to be more like, I'd say 7 people, 8 people talking at a slightly higher volume than normal talking. Now, in terms of the actuation I was mentioning, it is quite light at the top end, and then once you press it down, you feel the pressure a lot more, as you'll see there. You'll see how I'm showing that as you go down, you just feel that bottoming out weight a little bit more. And that's the case because it's a single stage long spring. Now the stem wobble test. So as you'll see here, the top end has a little bit of rattling, but barely any. And then once you press it down, you'll notice that it actually does have some stem wobble. So the switch is not without any stem wobble. And usually HMX is very good at this, but for some reason, this one you can kind of feel the stem wobble there. And you can even see it with the keycaps that slightly moving, and it does have a little bit of the stem wobble. So if you are sensitive to it, just keep in mind for yourselves that there is going to be some stem wobble. Now going into the backlighting test. So the backlighting, it is going to get affected by the switch color. You are going to get a bluer light color from it. Right now I'm running white light, and you'll see that with the rise switches, it comes off a little bit more white. Has a slight blue hue to it on my camera, but overall the HMX are decent without any light diffuser, but it still has a effect in terms of the backlight. Now, this is the measurement which I found very, very interesting. The thing about it was I find anchor points. So when you measure switches in terms of the actual tone, it comes off in very different measurements. It actually has a very wide range, and because of like the plate sound and the board sound and all these things that mix together, you get many different tones. And what I did was look at that graph and then chose an anchor point that made the most sense, especially comparing it with all the measurements that I do. Even comparing these switches to the Guns N' Roses, they actually come off a little bit on the deeper tone towards the medium side, but they're not poppy. That's the thing. This is why I put them as a medium to clack switch. They don't come off as poppy at all, but they have a slight clack to them, but then with foam can become a medium sounding switch. And that's kind of interesting. It's a really nice clack for a budget price. And I actually really like these, especially if anyone is looking for a clacky switch and they want to save a little bit of money and have a little bit more of a budget switch. I think these are going to be ones that you're going to enjoy a lot. I've been really enjoying these. I think this is a nice regular HMX Clack that has a very nice sound profile, very clean sound, very smooth, that you're going to enjoy. I'll have the links in the description for you guys. You can go check it out yourselves. And of course, use code Mikey, save 7% when you are shopping on Unikeys, either for switches or keycaps. Just make sure it's an in-stock item, not a group buy, because group buys you cannot use the code. And of course, come join the Discord channel. Come join me live. I love to discuss with you guys and talk with you guys even more. And please go check out the other videos I got.